Yo,
Yo, what's going on?
what's going
What's
on,
good?
man?
What's good, bud?
How
What's
you
up,
doing?
man? Doing good, man.
So,
Glad to have you on the show finally, bro.
Yes, sir.
so Leo, I'm Ryan. I'm up here in Vancouver, Canada. I'm the one that reached out to you, thanks to Eric that hooked it up. And I had to make sure Eric got on here with us too. So,
Definitely.
Yeah.
if you
No,
want-
for sure. And just so you guys know, it's 104 degrees in LA right now. So,
I bet.
we got
it-
that.
it's doing some damage.
Yeah, we got
Oh
that.
yeah, I already know.
We got the same
Right,
heat
right.
wave. We got the same heat wave in Vancouver right now. So, because we're on the
Yeah.
West Coast, right above Seattle. So,
No, for sure.
Mhm.
okay. So, born in Maryland to two musically inclined parents. How did you want to? Did you always want to get into music right away?
Oh no, yeah, for sure. I've always knew that I was gonna be involved in music like one way or another, just because my parents were involved in music. But I didn't think that I was gonna be in that industry. Definitely not.
Was there any early influences that it really influenced you?
No, not necessarily. Because like I said, I feel like I didn't really even know that I wanted to be a part of it. So I feel like I wasn't even looking for musical inspirations. With wrestling being, my
And who was your influence in wrestling?
I mean a few people like Jeff Hardy, Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, definitely a lot of people from that era of ruthless aggression and attitude era.
Like, what was one of your favorite matches with Eddie Guerrero? Like,
I really enjoyed a lot of his stuff with Kurt Angle. I thought every time that he was in the ring with Kurt, I don't know, their two styles gelled well together. I feel like they were both technical wrestlers, but so different. Like I feel like Eddie had that like pro wrestling technicality about him, and Kurt Angle had that amateur wrestling technicality about him. So I thought that those two styles gel well together.
Oh yeah, we love Kurt Angle. I had him on the podcast. Go ahead, Eric.
Oh yeah. I just want to talk about Not Found 2 and your process going into that project, man, with it being different from like, the final match and stuff like that, with this being an R&B soul project.
I think the process was definitely a lot slower. I spent a lot more time working on this project than I did with Not Found One and previous projects before that, especially with me. This is my 4th year in with doing music. It's crazy to think that time has passed that much, but this is a time in my music career where I feel like I know who I am as an artist a lot more than I ever have before. So, taking that time to really, snuff out every part of a song and break it down, bit by bit, line by line, and just making sure everything is crisp and on point, and it being heard how I want it to be heard. So I definitely think, the process was a lot slower.
Yeah, I really enjoy that project, man. That's one of my favorites right now. And I definitely say like you're just being able to see you with Justin in the studio, man. I didn't know you got down like that with the vocals, man. You sick with the vocals off top. And I said that to you before. I will say it to you again. But I will say this: what was your process with Justin, like beat wise? You just like, hey, we're gonna do something different this time. It's like, what are we gonna how y'all go about that?
Yeah, I feel like Not Found One, it opening up that project with More Than That, and kind of having it be a airy nighttime type feel, dreaming about the California lifestyle. I feel like it was a lot more airy, if that like if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And more of a dream and like, this is where we want to go. And Not Found 2 is kind of like realizing that, okay, we're here. And it was a lot more confident. I feel like I showed a lot more
I feel
confidence in
that.
Not Found 2. Because like I said, I'm starting to figure out myself more and more with each project. And I definitely feel confident in my artistry and like my lyricism
And
and
you're
everything like that.
sorry to interrupt. You're living in LA nowadays, right?
Yeah, I'm out in LA.
Yeah. And what's the best part about LA?
I think being surrounded by other people who were hungry. I didn't really grow up with a lot of people surrounding me that was hungry and wanted to, accomplish things in life and make an impact and stuff like that. So I definitely feel like LA was um, a nice creative space for me to be in because I felt like I was surrounded by success. So yeah, I think that's the best part about being here in LA.
Also, well, if you ever need any features, I got a lot of hookups. We've interviewed tons of West Coast rappers.
Nice.
I used to be an A&R. I did mixtape DJs in Vancouver, so I'd always take my Dominican artists from Vancouver and I would stick them on a song with, say, Glasses Malone, who we just did one
Right.
with, or like a bunch of all the big West Coast artists. So, hey man, now that we've crossed
Right.
this bridge, we can always middleman you if you ever need
No, for
anything.
sure. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
That's good.
Right.
Being that we are a sports podcast, if you could play
Right.
any sport professionally, what sport would it be other than wrestling, obviously?
Probably baseball because baseball was my go-to sport when I was younger. Before I was a wrestler, I was a baseball player.
So you were excelling at baseball back in the day?
Oh yeah, for sure. Baseball. I was a lot better in baseball than I am in wrestling. And so yeah, I was pretty good in baseball. I think I just burnt out. I was playing since I was little, and yeah, by the time I got to a point where I had to make a decision on whether I wanted to, take it seriously and go to college, and my elbow was already shot, and I was already, pretty much um, involved in wrestling heavily. So yeah.
And one other thing before I'll throw it to somebody else, when you first showed up on the scene in wrestling, because I'm not really watch much underground wrestling. So when you showed up at NXT and WWE, I spotted you right away, and I'm like, this guy's fucking awesome. Like the way you were always high flying, you're like the same size as me. So I always wanted to be a wrestler, but obviously I'm not.